Hey there, amazing souls, and welcome to today's message. Today I have a message for you that is coming off the back end of yesterday's message that I shared with you guys as I was just about to take off to a funeral. And I just wanted to share kind of a little bit of insight that I had in terms of attending this funeral and getting to partake in the ceremony of it and getting to connect with a lot of the attendees, who were a bunch of family, a lot of which I hadn't met before, and this person's in my extended family. So it was actually, I think we worked it out, it would be my second cousin is who the funeral was for yesterday. And I'd met her a few times, and I'd always had this really pleasurable experience with her, but I just didn't know her all that well. I only ever met her at other people's funerals, basically, and I haven't been to that many. So it's a handful of times that I had been in the presence of this woman, but every single time I had, she'd always been one of my favorite people that I'd connect with. A little old lady, kind of hunched over on a walking frame, but she was always, upbeat. She looked like she was in pain. She struggled with a lot of things health-wise, but she was always really non-judgmental and very accommodating and very light-hearted, and you just felt safe and held in her presence. And so I wanted to touch base with a common theme as I was talking with different people who knew her, who were very close to her, a lot of her granddaughters, and just different people who had known her over the years, including my mum, on my mum's side of the family. And there was a really common theme about, what everybody was seeing as her legacy, seeing as what was so great about her. And it inspired me to jump on this quick live with you guys today and share this message. So I want to say a quick hi to those of you who've been able to join. So Georgina and Dave and Maha and Anyeta, awesome to see you guys. So as you're tuning in, say hi, let me know where in the world you're tuning in from. And also do that if you're watching the recording. And I'd love to hear from you at home, your experiences, your wisdom, your any questions that you might have, on the topic that we're going to be discussing today. But basically, I've titled this one, Non-Judgement, or another way to put that is unconditional acceptance, okay, is the most praised legacy. And I'm going to dive into this and then just unpack it a bit and give you some, kind of something to think about in your own existence to bring some more conscious awareness around how you're living your heartbeats. So back to the story of this funeral yesterday. This was the common theme that I heard. Everybody would say, I never heard her ever say a bad word about anyone. She had plenty of reasons to judge, but she never did. Right? She never, this woman never spoke an ill word of anyone. And that just was the theme. Everywhere it was popping up, everywhere I went into different conversations, that was it. That was the thing. That was her legacy. She was non-judgmental. She never said a bad word about anyone. And that was the praise being sung about her. Okay, and there was other things as well. She was actually an amazing poet and artist, and she even left. It was really, really hit me in the heart, like everybody there yesterday, when her husband got up on stage and he actually, he was speaking at the funeral ceremony, and he actually shared with us all, and he read it through broken voice and tears, about actually she'd left him a poem for him to find after she'd passed, and it was really meaningful and really significant, and spoke about their love for one another, and it was really beautiful. You can tell I'm getting emotional and a bit choked up about it because it was such a gift, and such a surprise that his late wife had left him this poem. So she was a really beautiful, heart-centered soul, and very thoughtful and always thinking about others. And despite the pain she was going through, she'd be in consideration of others. Okay, so beautiful legacy. Now let's think about that. What it takes for somebody to be non-judgmental or unconditionally accepting. You know, when I say these words, actually, I'm not religious, but of course I think about Jesus, right? I think about what his legacy is, what he's known for. And obviously it's so many things, but one of the major things we hear about his most praised legacy, is that unconditional love, right? No matter who you are and where you've been and what you've done or not done, any of that, you're loved, you're worthy, you're valuable, right? And this was kind of similar to what I was hearing from these people who knew this woman whose funeral I was at yesterday. And what does it take to become a person who can genuinely be non-judgmental, be unconditional? Whoops, sorry about that. Just stopped my alarm. So what does it take to get to that place? Because if it was so easy, and we knew how meaningful it was, and we were so praising of other people who we felt were just so non-judgmental and always accepting, unconditionally accepting, then we'd be doing it more if it was so easy, right? We'd want to be that person. We'd want to give that gift. We'd want that as a quality. We'd just choose it. We'd just be it. So why is it so difficult, right? And there was also some interesting family dynamics where there were estranged family members that were coming back into the picture, and there was some drama and different things being thrown into the mix, and past hurts being held on to, and and this kind of need to have the other person apologize, and all these sorts of things were sort of also loosely hanging around with different family dynamics, right? And what I realize, it kind of comes into this same thing. It's like, in order to be somebody who can truly be non-judgmental, who can truly be unconditionally accepting of anyone else, of everyone else, it actually takes this. You have to get out of a victim mindset. You have to get out of the separation. You have to get out of seeing human beings as one-sided. And you actually have to find what it is that you judge in another. You have to find that quality within yourself, right? You have to find whatever you judge in another, right? Oh, they cut me off when I just want to talk about something, or they can't confront conflict, or they were rude and hurtful, or whatever the story is, right? If we can find that judgment, that piece that gets in the way of us being non-judgmental, of us being unconditionally accepting, if we can find that piece within ourselves, if we can turn it back and go, when have I cut somebody off, right? When have I not been able to confront a challenge in my life? When has it been that I've hurt another, right? When have I acted out from anger in a way I'm less than proud of? Right? Guaranteed it's all there. And the more judgment you have genuinely on another person, it's more and more in the shadow aspect for you. And therefore, it's more and more required for you to turn the mirror back on the self to set yourself free. And when we can find what we judge in another, that is actually the pathway and the ticket to our freedom, to our higher self that doesn't have to hold on to all the hurts and the pains and the judgments. And it also allows us this path of forgiveness and letting go, right? It doesn't have to forget the circumstances that may have happened, right? It can be more wisely discerning based on that experience. But if you just think about it, what is the difference to being somebody who's really judgmental and holds on to everything and thinks poorly of people, right? What that feels like in your system versus, just non-judgment, just total unconditional acceptance. Just, I see myself in that person's behavior. I've done that. I've been there. And because I've been there and I can find that and I can acknowledge it, I can understand what drives those things. And I can actually access a sense of compassion. And that is actually what's at the core of all of us. And when we're sitting in this judgmental, separate kind of disconnected kind of energy of angst, it's really just a reflection of our own internal system and what we've not yet pointed the mirror on our own selves and taken a new level of responsibility for who it is that we are and being a human being and acting in certain ways. And if you can't address it, if you leave things residing in the shadows and you just project that judgment onto others, you never grow, right? And then those shadows, because they're outside of your conscious awareness, they come out sideways, right? And you act in ways that you're really shameful about, right? And what does shame do? It just perpetuates a cycle where you got to hide yourself away. You can't confront. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy, all right? And so that's my lesson from yesterday, just as a reminder to go, that was repetitive through all the different conversations I said. These people didn't know what other people had said. And they all said the same thing. This woman's legacy was that she never said a bad word about anyone. And that's what really lit them up about who she was. And why is that? Because at the end of the day, what do we all want more than anything? We just want to be loved and accepted for who it is that we actually are. Right? Let that land for a minute. Like, is there anything more important than just being loved and accepted for who it is that you are in your fullness, in all the spectrums of who you are, without trying to live up to the expectations, without only being loved and approved of if you do certain things, or you look a certain way, or you act a certain way, or if you're smart enough or talented enough, or whatever the thing is, or you're successful enough, or you got enough money, whatever the thing is, right? We're all doing all of those things for the end result of what was reflected at this woman's funeral, which is we just want somebody to accept us without judgment, right? That's what love is, really, you know? It's like seeing the fullness, knowing the fullness of another and allowing them their full expression of who they are, right? And so I hope that this message just kind of hits you. And I want to say a little caveat here, right? Because I also learn a little bit more about different people, and you know, just because a certain behavior can have a certain result doesn't necessarily mean they did all that work that's necessary, right? Like to genuinely get to a place where consciously, with high levels of wisdom, they can own and just know all the traits within themselves, and they can genuinely show up non-judgmentally and completely unconditionally accepting of another human being, despite what they've done or not done. They know who that person is at their core, right? But on the flip side of that, some of us get around life with a coping mechanism of denial, and we aren't actually able to address the realities of a situation. All right. Now, without going into too much detail, you know, there was some family dynamics in this extended family of mine that were like kind of Jerry Springer-like, if I'm honest. And it was quite eye-opening. And I was learning all sorts of interesting stories about, you know, different dynamics that are played out in all these people I was, some of them meeting for the very first time. And, you know, it was quite interesting to see the impact. And I wondered, that's interesting that, you know, somebody who's holding this legacy could also have, you know, some very negative connections connected to her and very traumatic dynamics going on. And I realized, and I don't know if that's true, but there could be the case, it could be the case that a coping mechanism was in place of denial. And when people deny reality, it can be end up being very crazy making to the people around you. It's kind of like that gaslighting, when particularly if it's a child and that person is a caretaker of yours. If they're too in denial of the fullness of reality and all they can do is focus on the positive and they can never address the negative or the reality of the situation in its fullness with both sides of the spectrum, that can actually have a very negative impact on particularly children under the care of somebody like that. So it's not about being perpetually positive and in denial of the fullness of reality, but it is in the fullness of the reality you are able to be aware and not have to hide away from, because you can't confront the shadow within your own system. But actually it takes a lot of courage to go into the shadow within, right? To go into the darkness and to own it and to recognize it and to see it in others. And you found that place within you so you can understand it in another. And you no longer have this judgment and critique or aggression towards them, but instead you have compassion. And maybe you've even found the way out and you can support people because you know it and you're compassionate and you're in a state of love, not fear. All right, so I have to run, but I really felt called to just jump on this live and just share this message with you. And I really hope it resonates with you. And it's very much connected to the Free to Be Me with V Zoom community empowerment calls that we're running each week. Next one's coming up in a couple of days, Monday Aussie time at midday, or it could be the evening on Sunday for a lot of you guys in the States, I think. But if you are wanting to come to a free community where you're going to surround yourself with people who want to accept you in the fullness of who you are as you go on this journey of owning the shadows and stepping into your light and shining bright, right? Not in perpetual positivity or denial, but actually in the fullness of reality, in the conscious awareness and discernment about who it is that you're choosing to be in this life, what you're dedicating your heartbeats to, how you're living fully, how you're loving deeply, how you're contributing meaningfully, then I definitely invite you to register for our free to be Meet with V sessions, where I'm hoping that we can continue to build this community, and I'd love you to be a part of that. So the link will be in the comments after I jump off here. Come and register for any of our upcoming weekly calls. They're all free. You're all invited. The more the merrier. Share it with anybody that you feel could get some value from it too, and let's build this community together so that we can uplift each other in reality and face our fears together and break free and ignite you on your path of giving your gifts in whatever capacity feels most authentic to you. All right. So that is my message. Just a quick hello to the rest of the people who joined, Kane and Charity and Ione and Brian and Idalid. Acceptance is the awareness of the present second. Ooh, I love that. Being fully here, right now, not arguing with reality in the full acceptance. I love that. Beautiful wisdom there, my friend. And Paul's here as well. So much love coming to each and every one of you guys. Please do come and join us in the Free to Be Me sessions with V. And next one coming up in a couple of days. I'll put the link below. And all you have to do is register your details and you'll be sent the Zoom link to join us at the time. All right, that's it from me. As always, my message and reminder to you is to go out there and live fully, to love deeply, and to contribute your gifts uniquely and purposefully. All right, so that is my message to you, and I will see you very, very soon. Much love.